webinar in the Coastal Commission and the Ocean Protection Council's grant program. My name is Hillary Papendick, and I am the LCP, or Local Coastal Program, Grants Manager at the Coastal Commission. With me, I have Jessica Chan, our Contracts Manager, and Lali Venkatakrishnan, who will be helping with the contracts and grant management. Also on the line are several of the Coastal Commission's district managers and analysts who will be working with you to complete your grant project. Today's webinar will give an overview of the LCP grant requirements and the next steps that you all will be taking to execute the contract. To help make this process as smooth as possible, I thought it would be helpful to talk through the process, clarify some of the issues that came up in the last round, and then provide the opportunity for you all to ask questions. Before we start, I wanted to go over a few webinar details. If you're not able to hear me, please go ahead and write in the chat box and let us know at any time. You all have been placed on mute at this point and will be placed on mute for the duration of the call until the question and answer period. We would really like to hear from you today, so please ask questions. You can type questions into the question and answer pane on the right side of your GoToWebinar player at any time during the webinar. After my presentation, there will be a period of Q&A. At this time, you can raise your virtual hand and I will unmute you to ask questions. We will answer clarifying questions as we go along, and we'll address all other questions at the end of the presentation. This information about the Q&A is also in the email that I sent out earlier this morning. First, congratulations to each of you on receiving grant funds from the Coastal Commission and/or the Ocean Protection Council in this competitive process. For this second round of grants, the Coastal Commission and the Ocean Protection Council have awarded a total of 13 grants, shown here. 7 of you have received funds from both the Coastal Commission and the Ocean Protection Council, or just from the Ocean Protection Council. For the second round of grants, the Ocean Protection Council requested that the Commission administer the OPC grants in conjunction with the Coastal Commission grants. As a result, those of you receiving both grant awards will only have to complete one work program and contract. Today I would like to focus on what is needed to finalize the contract. I will also go over invoicing and progress report requirements generally, but will save the details of these items for a later date. Before I begin, here's a quick overview of the timeline for the grant program. Updated work programs are due to me by February 2nd or sooner if you have them. Then we will work with you to finalize the contract by the end of February or May. The grant period is 2 years, from May 1st, 2015 to April 30th, 2017. The first step is to revise and update the work program that you provided in your application as needed. The work program includes a project description, task description, schedule, benchmark schedule, and budget. I will go over the details of each of these items in just a minute. As I mentioned already, for those of you who receive funds from both the Coastal Commission and the OPC, you will develop just one work program for both grants. As you complete the draft work program, it may be helpful to schedule a meeting to go over the tasks and the schedule with Coastal Commission district staff. It is very important to resolve any potential issues on the work program with Commission staff before finalizing the contract. The purpose of a detailed task list and schedule approved by both the City and the Commission is to ensure that there is no confusion or misunderstanding about the work that is to be completed throughout the grant period. After completing the draft work program, you will submit to me, and I will review, and then we'll send to the Coastal Commission district staff, our contracts manager, our statewide planning manager for review. And we'll also send to any technical staff at the Coastal Commission for review as needed. Once the review is complete, I will send the work program back to you with any suggested changes. If needed, we will schedule a phone call to discuss. You will then send the final work program back to me, and our contracts manager will prepare the contract. This whole process can take several weeks. The contracts manager will then send the contract and the CCC form to you in a PDF format for review. The CCC 307 form is the Contractor Certification Clauses form and certifies that you will be complying with the State of California requirements to operate a drug-free workplace, comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and other requirements. And I've linked the form here. The grantee reviews, signs, and sends back the contract document and the 307 form to the Coastal Commission's contract manager. Please note that whoever is listed on the contract as the signer must sign the contract. When we prepare the contract, we will use the contact that you provide in your work program as the signer. If you would like someone else to sign the contract, please make note of that in the work program. This is something that came up last time and can avoid some back and forth on the contract if we don't have the correct signer on the form. Also, as you're reviewing the contract, if you have a change to the contract document, please let us know. Please do not just line out and changes and send it back to us. Even if it is a small change to a name or address, please let us know that you have made a change. Also, the Coastal Commission is required to send contracts above $50,000 to the Department of General Services for review and approval. The Department of General Services approval takes 10 business days. Once approved by DGS, the Coastal Commission staff will notify you that the contract is fully executed and work can begin. Please do not begin work until the contract is fully executed. Now I will go over the components of the work program. You will likely be able to use your grant application to complete most of the work program. However, you may need to add additional detail to the task descriptions, deliverables, schedule, benchmarks, and budget. The first part of the work program is the project description. This includes a brief paragraph describing what will be accomplished with the grant funds. If you receive funds from both the Coastal Commission and the OPC, explain here what will be accomplished with each source of funds. Next, the task description is the detailed list of tasks that are needed to complete the project. A detailed description of each action that will be taken to complete the project should be included, including a description of your public involvement process, how coordination with the Coastal Commission staff will take place, which technical studies will be needed, and any grant administration duties. For each task or sub-task, include a clear deliverable. Deliverables might be meeting notes or attendee sign-up lists for public meetings, technical reports, policy matrices, draft land use plan and implementation plan documents, and submittal of the final LCP to the Coastal Commission. An important part of the work program is the schedule. Please do your best to prepare a reasonable schedule for your grant project with key benchmarks for monitoring progress. The schedule should show deliverables for each task and the due date for each deliverable. We understand that flexibility is needed in a 2-year grant program, and we also need to keep track of schedule changes. Please let us know in writing if you anticipate a schedule change so we can approve and make the change. The schedule is needed to allow the grant manager to track your progress and make sure the work is proceeding in a timely manner. We're happy to work with you to come up with a schedule that provides enough flexibility but then also allows us to track progress. The benchmark schedule includes a list of benchmarks or milestones with a completion date that can be used to track whether the project is progressing according to schedule. For example, the benchmark schedule may include the date of preliminary public outreach, the date of the draft land use plan completion, the date of the draft implementation plan completion, and then date of hearings such as a planning commission hearing and the date of a city council hearing, and so forth. Finally, we have the budget. I developed a budget template to help you complete the budget. For those of you who receive funds from both the Coastal Commission and the Ocean Protection Council, the budget should show which tasks will be funded by each funding source. It is important that the budget be itemized by task and show the source of funds. It is also important to separate out labor costs, subcontractor costs, costs for travel and materials, and indirect costs. For labor costs, include the position title, hourly rate, number of hours, and total cost per task. For subcontractor costs, include the total cost per task and submit the subcontractor's scope of work and budget as soon as you have it for review. Also, please note that benefits are not to exceed 40% of the amount requested for salary and wages. And indirect costs must be limited to 10% of the amount requested for total personnel or labor costs. Next, once you have the draft contract from our contract manager, be sure to review the contract conditions, which will be available in Exhibit C and D. The general terms and conditions are available in Exhibit C. These are provided via reference to a web link, which I have included here. If you have trouble accessing these, please let us know. The special terms and conditions are provided in Exhibit D. Some of the special conditions adopted by the Coastal Commission that will be in your contract direct grantees to use the Commission's sea level rise guidance document to inform sea level rise work items, as well as coordinate sea level rise work regionally wherever feasible, and also to perform grant work in accordance with the climate change principles outlined in the Safeguarding California Plan. Some of these principles include using the best available science on climate change and putting emphasis on nature-based solutions and green infrastructure. By coordinating work regionally, we are generally talking about making sure that each grantee is aware of other local coastal program planning processes and sea level rise preparedness work occurring in your region, and making use of existing efforts and results of this work that is being completed. This can include scheduling meetings for regional partners to share work programs and lessons learned, notifying other local governments of work products, and involving local governments in the public process. We are happy to help put you in touch with others in your area and to help schedule regional workshops or meetings to help you connect. The Coastal Conservancy may also be able to help coordinate work regionally. Once the contract is executed, you may begin work. Some things to remember include, for any subcontractors, you are required to obtain at least 3 bids. Please send the scope of work for any contractors to me. You should plan on regular coordination meetings with the Coastal Commission district staff. If you have changes to the contract budget or schedule, you must send a request to the grant manager in writing. The grant manager will prepare an amendment if needed. Depending on your term dates, extensions may be possible, but in no case may grant work be extended past April 30th, 2017. At the end of the grant period, you will submit final deliverables and the final invoice prior to April 30th, 2017. If for some reason you find you will not be spending all of your grant funds, please notify me as soon as possible so we can reallocate the funds. Funds will be provided to grantees on a reimbursement basis after work is completed. To be reimbursed, you will submit a request for funds form. Once contracts are executed, I will provide you with a copy of the request for funds, or the RFF form, and more information on filling out and submitting the forms. You can only invoice for work after the start of the contract term. Therefore, you are not able to invoice for time spent in this meeting or other time spent finalizing the work program and contract. A portion of the grant funds may be withheld until the grantee successfully completes the final deliverable. At the end of the 2-year grant period, or sooner, depending on your schedule, you will submit the final deliverables and final invoice. As soon as the Commission staff receives the final deliverables and approves them as complete, any funds that have been withheld will be dispersed. Throughout your grant period, you should develop a sound accounting system to track your LCP grant expenses. The accounting system should accurately reflect fiscal transactions and should provide a good audit trail. It is likely that these grants will be audited, so you should be prepared to present original source documents such as receipts, invoices, time cards, and evidence of payments, etc. The accounting system should also clearly show the total cost of each deliverable. Also, please note that you're required to retain records for a period of 3 years after final payment by the Coastal Commission. For sample documents, please refer to the next steps email I sent in November for those of you receiving only Coastal Commission funds, and December 16th for the joint grantees. If any of you would like me to resend these documents, please let me know. That concludes all I have right now for the overview of the LCP grant contract process. I'll now open it up for questions. We'll first take any questions that have been written into the Q&A panel. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your virtual hand. Go up here. Okay, one question I have is, can matching in-kind staff be counted prior to NTP? What does NTP stand for? Notice to proceed. So you can, by this question, and maybe I should unmute you, Liz. Are you meaning, do you want to be reimbursed for in-kind staff time before the contract is executed, in which case that would not be possible? Okay, here, let me unmute you. Okay, Liz, you can go ahead and talk. Can you clarify your question, please? Liz, are you there? I did just unmute you. Okay, I'll come back to that question. Here we have another question. Can we RFP in February and March before the grant is finalized with 3 bids but do not do grant work? Yes, you can send out the RFP before the grant is finalized, but you just can't bill for that work before the contract is finalized. Can you clarify, will Coastal Commission staff want to review the RFP for subcontractors prior to an RFP being adopted by City Council? No, we don't need to review the RFP, but we would like to see the final scope of work once you hire a contractor. And you'll just need to keep record that you have submitted a bid to 3 subcontractors. We don't necessarily need to see the 3 subcontractors or the 3 bids that you have reviewed.
Unless there's an audit, it may request it.
But if there's an audit, that it could be requested. I'm not sure if you heard Jessica's response. Can you please give us a sense of the level of involvement expected by Coastal Commission staff, monthly meetings, or some other expectation? Generally, the meetings are, I would say, every 1 to 2 months or as needed, and that's something that you should talk to your district planner and then about to see what's reasonable and makes sense for your project. It could be that you might want to schedule more frequent meetings at the beginning or more frequent meetings around when you're reviewing a document, but that you might not need to meet for a few months while you're doing research or a different part of your grant project. The important part is to be involved, especially as you're developing the draft, to make sure that it's on the right track and you don't end up going down a path that's not meeting all of the Coastal Commission's needs. Oh, sorry. I just see your message here that from Liz that it doesn't. Your mic doesn't work. Your match time. If you want to keep track of it, that's fine. We don't need to see it as part of the contract management process.
Yes, and that could start before the term of the contract.
Yes.
I think it's
yes, it can start.
Yes. Any work that we are reimbursing the grantees for, that work must occur during the term of the contract.
We've already started tasks. Can we use grant funds to pick up on the tasks when the grant is finally signed? Unfortunately, no. You can only bill for tasks started after the grant term. I am not familiar with I have a question here. It seems like your contract is the same as the Caltrans planning grant protocol. We're both state agencies, so we both are using the state contracting manual, so it should be consistent.
Yeah, it might be. I'm not completely familiar with what Caltrans operates.
Are there any subcontractors we should be aware of or may have a conflict of interest with the state?
That I know.
How long will it take for the Coastal Commission to process an invoice and send payment?
There's a timely payment the government code, but it's 45 days is the time period that we aim to stay within. Sometimes it might be
Can you all hear Jessica? Okay. Coordinating with other agencies, what efforts should be documented to show feasibility? I would document any regional meetings or significant efforts that you've had in your progress reports. Phone calls or other conversations I don't think need to be documented. Oh, a follow-up question. We would only bill for work after grant is approved, but the task is started under other money. That's fine. So now I have a question. I'm going to unmute Diana from San Francisco. You are unmuted.
That doesn't sound good.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and have you, oh, sorry. Okay. Given the feedback, I'll just go ahead and have you type your question into the chat box. Sorry about that. Now I'm looking at Joseph Smith's question about the conflict of interest. We're not aware of any subcontractors that have a conflict of interest. I think that's something that you'd have to look at on a case-by-case basis. If you have, I would say when you start choosing your subcontractors, if you have questions, then we can have our legal team look at it and answer that question. Diana, did you want to ask a question in writing? Oh, here, maybe you did this, maybe your question was already answered with the level of involvement with Coastal Commission staff. In case someone missed the invoices are required to be paid within 45 days, sometimes it's sooner. We send revised program directly to Hillary. Yes, send it directly to me, and then I will distribute it for review to Coastal Commission staff in the districts and let you know if we have any questions by February 2nd. If you have it sooner than that, and if you have any questions or if you want to send a draft, we're happy to work on that with you. Is there a source for learning about the firms that have done Coastal Commission work and would be qualified to bid on their projects? That's a good question.
Well, there is the state e-procurement website where any contracts that the Coastal Commission has with vendors when they're over $5,000 to register it on that website. Definitely feel free to take a look at that site. I could have Hillary send a link. But in general, we shouldn't give any preference to any particular contractor. Just because they've done work with us doesn't mean that they should necessarily be awarded your bid. Just to be fair to all vendors that are potentially out there.
Does that answer your question, Liz? Another question? Assuming that answers your question, Liz, thanks. Please send the website link. Yes, I will. Is the Coastal Commission scheduled to adopt the sea level rise guidance soon? Yes, we're still working on finalizing comments, and at this point, given that we want to do a 30-day review period of the final document, we have a schedule to take it to the Commission in March. So we will notify you. You will all be on our notification list for when the final document is posted to our website, and they'll also notify you of the public hearing of the final document. And especially if we don't anticipate any major changes at this point from the draft document. Most of the changes that we're doing are clarification, making it more readable, but it has not been finalized yet. So if there's any major changes, we will let you know. Can you post a list of consultants that you prepared from the last round of LCP grants so we can send them the RFP?
Well, we didn't directly contract with the consultants. It would have been the grantees that contracted with the consultants. I don't necessarily have a list of those.
I know who they are, so I can send them. They all provided me with the names of who they were consulting with.
You know, that might be more helpful to them than the procurement list. Probably be more user-friendly.
Sure. I'll send you all a list of who is doing the work for this round. So question, can you confirm the 2-year time frame for the grant includes the period through the Coastal Commission certification of the local coastal program amendment? Right. Can we expect the amendment to be agendized within the 60-day time frame, or is it likely that the 1-year review extension may be applied to these amendments? So what I would recommend when you put together your work program is to have the final deliverable be submittal of your amendment to the Coastal Commission, not certification, because of that uncertainty in the time that it may take to get from submittal to certification. That doesn't necessarily need to be in the grant period. If you feel like you can have the amendment done with the time that it may take to certify it within your grant period, you can write up the work program that way. But I think the safest bet is to have the final deliverable be submittal to the Coastal Commission. And then we will agendize it after the grant period is over. Can we propose changes in coastal zone based on changing shoreline, et cetera, subject to commission approval? That is something that you should work out with your district staff in terms of putting together the content of your work program. Can grant include any CEQA work for local government decision making? No, actually, since grant funds are limited and the CEQA work is not required as part of the LCP process, we are requesting that the grant funds not be spent on CEQA duties. Chris, does that answer your question? Okay, great. Are there any other questions? We currently have a contract with a consultant to do the LCP update work and need to supplement their scope of work for grant-related tasks. Do we still need to RFP from 3 firms?
Yes, the state contracting manual says any subcontractor that is subject to getting 3 bids. So if you obtained 3 bids when you did the initial contract with the consultant, then you would be covered.
Does that answer your question, David? Would it be, another question, would it be possible to have a webinar with the SLC, I'm guessing you mean the State Lands Conservancy, State Land Commission, sometime during this process to discuss mean high tide issues, state ownership, etc. That's something I can add to the list of topics. If this webinar format works well, I'm happy to schedule regular webinars to discuss topics. I'd hope that it would work to be able to have grantees talk, but there's too much feedback. So we could discuss ways to sort of facilitate communication among grantees, and then also plan any kind of topic-based webinars. But the specific one, I'm not sure. I'd have to check with the State Lands Commission. It might be useful to see each other's work programs. Those will all be public once the contract is executed. If anyone is willing to share their work programs with others, then you can let me know, and then I'm happy once they're in draft or final to share them. All of the grant work programs from last year are public, and I can put them on the website, and then send you the link, and you could take a look at the 11 that were already fully executed and work is started. How do you deal with contract staff? Usually we're listed under the subcontract, but don't have to go through the RFP process, such as a contract city planner.
Usually, I think the contract staff, like city staff, would be listed under the direct costs as opposed to the subcontract costs for the labor costs on the budget.
Even if they're a contract planner?
Maybe I don't understand what the contract planner is.
They're hired by the city as a subcontractor to do planning work.
I haven't had that question.
I imagine when you were first hired on, there was a bid, RFP process. So that should most likely.
Yeah, I mean the point of the rule in the state contracting manual about obtaining free bids for subcontractors is so that it doesn't appear that the Coastal Commission is circumventing the competitive bidding process by having this contract with a local government. So just so long as at some point in the process of obtaining that person, there was a competitive bidding process where free bids were obtained, then we would have fulfilled that requirement. Let us know if that answers this question.
Is there quarterly reporting requirements? Yes, so invoices and progress reports will be due quarterly, every 3 months. Okay, so are there any other questions? I'm waiting for those. I'll just clarify that I will put all of the work programs from last year on the website, and I will send out any of the subcontractors who have been hired on for this round, so you can see who is currently under contract. Is there anything else? Well, thank you all for participating. I hope that was helpful, and we'll be in touch in the future. And we're here to help and to coordinate and help you all coordinate amongst one another too, as you're all starting on 2-year planning processes that share similar civil rights planning goals and coastal act planning goals as well. Great, thank you.